it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. If it's something you feel like, oh, this is my business, if it's something you feel like you don't need to read my DMs, if it's something that you very much know is going to cause a disagreement or some type of discord in your household, then chances are you doing some shit you have no business doing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Life After I Do. I am your host, Anisha G, and I am here today with...
Molito, what it do?
What it do?
Paul Wall, baby.
Life After I Do is a weekly discussion podcast about marriage and relationship. How you doing, babe?
I'm sitting sideways.
Oh, you try to make another Paul Wall reference, huh? Sitting sideways. Now I'm going to listen to Paul Wall on the way for pickup.
Just make sure you drive slow, homie.
How are you today, babe?
What it do?
Oh, gosh. I feel like this is going to be a running theme today. How you doing, boo?
You know, I just want to say I was a Paul Wall fan ever since he had that Black Planet song. I said,
Ever since he had that what?
Black Planet, the song he's talking about, he on Black Planet?
Oh, I remember Black Planet.
So,
Is it still around?
I don't know. I'm married. I'm doing great.
That doesn't mean you wouldn't know when Black Planet was still around.
I'm just saying, I'm not going looking to see if Black Planet is still a thing.
Obviously. Okay. Remember, I don't know, just a tangent. Remember Rotten.com? I think we were talking about this earlier. Remember that was like all the craze and like it was junior high school, Rotten.com?
You're old.
The kids probably don't even know about Rotten.com.
These kids don't know what 2 Girls 1 Cup.
Okay. That I did not
They
know.
they don't know how many innocent minds that video tarnished. Because I was one of them.
That was such a disturbing video.
Such disturbing.
Oh my gosh. So everything's good?
Everything's great.
Good. I'm good. How was your week?
Groovy.
Groovy. Yeah, I had a pretty good week too. I must admit, felt very productive. Got a lot of things done. So anytime I can check things off of the list is always a good week for me. So, but getting into today's topic, we are going to be talking about something that I think affects, well, I'm not going to say affects a lot of couples or relationships, but it is one that definitely comes up like in my friend circle. And
I
it's...
think you can say it affects everyone.
Okay, it affects everyone. And that's social media and your relationship, social media and your marriage. Social media, for the most part, everybody is a part of social media. It's almost something that's kind of inevitable. If you have a business, if you're promoting something, if you're trying to stay in touch with friends and family, if you want to just know about what's going on in the world.
If you want to watch the wagons drag across the screen.
If you want to watch the wagons drag across the screen, then yes. I mean, you don't just watch them across the screen. Apparently, you watch them at our daughter's pickup as well. So
some of the moms got wagons. So what can I say?
Just a really quick, a little tangent. We were picking our daughter up the other day, and we get to a light, and my husband was like, some of these moms is dragging that wagon. And I was like, babe, mama's got ass. And he was like, I see why they mamas.
Some more, they blessed.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Some are blessed, some paid for theirs.
I mean, either way, they still dragging.
No, I like the natural shit.
No. That's why I love you. Anywho, so social media and marriage. So I guess where I would want to start is kind of like the impact that social media can have on a relationship. We know of some of the impacts that it can have on us individually, but I think those same impacts can spill over into a relationship, especially in the era of relationship advice, relationship experts, goals, as they call them, goals couples, people who are goals or people who are goals in this whole type of era. I think it can kind of really spill over into your relationship. So I think the first thing that I can think of is the unrealistic expectation that social media can have, not just on you individually, but most importantly on your relationship.
Right. I think people need to understand that people are all, 9 times out of 10, people are only posting the highlights of their life.
It's a highlight reel.
They're not posting the downside. They're not posting the real moments in life. They're posting things to, again, like I said before, a lot of people are braggadocious. A lot of people like to brag and boast, but a lot of times that these brags with these pictures of them on vacation, there's deeper, darker things going on the other side
that you may not know about.
Right.
And then when something comes out, then everyone is so surprised because they're like, "What? They were like the perfect couple. Like he did this. He was so this. He was so that, and she was this, and he must be crazy because she." People are people, y'all.
I mean,
like
at this point, when I see anyone say, "Oh, this couple is purple," I'm perfect. I'm waiting for the bad to come out.
Yeah, like I'm not necessarily waiting for the bad to come out, but in my opinion, like I just think I think for me, I know what that could entail, if that makes sense, right? Because I've had people, friends of mine, it's like, "Oh, your husband does this and he's so this," and like you just have the perfect I do not have the perfect husband, okay? Is he perfect for me? Right now, yeah, he is, but he's not perfect, right? So when I look at couples that I see on social media and I go to comments and I see how people are like, "Oh my gosh, they are so perfect together. He just seems like he's the perfect husband. He's the greatest catch. She's this, she's that." It's like, for one, that's a lot of pressure to put on the couple, you know what I mean? And then for two, people fail to realize that they are just people just like you and I.
So that
The
you
things-
you should never model your relationship off of what you're seeing,
Right.
because you have to understand, like my wife was just saying, people are just people. These are people with two different sets of rules, two different sets of boundaries, two different sets of expectations, two different personalities, and their lifestyle may not even be the lifestyle that you want. Like you have to, like we had said,
Almost pick and choose.
right, like we had said before, you need to be firm in what you want and what you will tolerate. You have to be firm in this and the lifestyle that you want to cultivate for yourself, because don't let your life be guided by what you think or feel may appear to look good.
What you think you want, right? So I think what kind of goes back for me is growing up, the biggest role model that I had for marriage and the model that I had for marriage was my aunt. My Aunt Jeanette, rest in peace. Love her. But her marriage with my Uncle Don, it's like, for me, that's what I wanted. Like her and my Uncle Don, like this, right? Completely up until the day she passed away. Like that was the vow till death do us part. That was it. And so I've always looked at that and admired that. I've always saw it from the outside, though. I didn't, because obviously I was also a kid, so I didn't know the ins and outs and all the things you can go through deciding to be in a monogamous relationship or doing life with a person. So all of the things that I saw on the outside, like I saw, them taking vacations. They always had multiple homes. They drove nice cars. It just seemed like they just had the perfect life. Like that's it. That's what I wanted. I wanted a husband so that I could share those things with, right? But as I got older and I started to recognize the amount of work and patience and dedication and love and selflessness and sacrifice, all those things that go into building a life with somebody, it's like that, all that kind of like changes, and you don't get to see that when you're looking at people on social media.
Right.
Because like you said, it's a highlight reel. We show you which we want you to, like what we want you to know. They're showing you what they want you to know with what they feel comfortable with you knowing, right? And then especially when you have people who do it as part of as a career or as part of income, there's even more of a heightened, a heightened highlight reel, if you would say, for them to portray themselves as a couple in a certain way, because that's also how they generate an income. And then you're on the opposite end and you're scrolling and you're looking like, if I could just have a relationship like that, if I can find a man like that, if I can find a woman like that. And it's like, you don't know what happens when that camera gets turned off, So yes, it's okay to be intrigued by the idea of what it is you're seeing, but I think where the line gets crossed is when we start implementing that into our lives, where we start judging ourselves, where we start judging our partner, where we start, interjecting what we think we're seeing on social media into our real everyday lives.
You start measuring your actual reality versus someone's alternate reality.
Right. So the unrealistic expectations. That also goes into like mental health, right? Because when you're dealing with social media, all of that scrolling, it's already messing with our brains.
Programmers.
We're programming ourselves. The dopamine is constantly going off, right? So then you get off social media, your dopamine is going down. You go into your regular life. You just watched for 30 minutes or an hour a YouTube video or somebody's multiple Instagram reels, and they're on vacation, or she's living the big thing. What is it? The soft life. She's living a soft life, and she doesn't have to do anything, and her days are completely uncumbersome by the aspects of having to be a wife and a mom and doing this and doing that. She can just be her, and then you go back into your life and you looking at your man like,
the fuck you doing?
So why can't I live like that? Or I watch such and such, and I just think that it's not, and you just start interjecting what you just watched into your daily life. And that is a real thing. And some people are not even conscious that they do it, because that's the tricky part about social media and technology in the first place, is you don't even recognize when you're
that you're subconsciously changing not only your personality, your behavior, but you're also your beliefs. Like by digesting so much similar content.
Yep.
And it can be scary if you, because once you recognize it, like you have to. You still have to be able to think for yourself.
Right.
And a lot of people, they get caught up in the masses and they don't really think for themselves, and they don't really see, like my wife was saying, they don't really see the impact that the social media is having on them, physically and mentally, like with the comparing yourself, with the idolizing other people's lifestyle. Would you wish, I wish I could look like this, or I wish I had the chance to do that, or I wish I could. And it's like everything that you're sitting telling yourself that you wish you could do, or that you wish you could be, you can, if you would apply yourself. Like if you would spend that time spent that you spent strolling, if you would apply that to the things that you want in life, you could in fact better your life.
Yeah, I agree. It also goes into, like, I would say it can create like disagreements.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if your partner, if I'm strolling and you don't agree with what I'm looking at, then yeah, but there can be.
Right.
That's when it comes to, if I'm strolling and you happen to notice that if I'm on TikTok and you hear a couple viral sounds and you're like, okay, so he's looking at these women, like, yeah, that could cause a disagreement.
So I would say, for us, for instance, pure transparency, it didn't cause a disagreement, but it's something that you recognize. I feel like we've touched on this before, but when you were scrolling and you started to notice how the algorithm has switched what it was showing you, which was essentially nothing but ass.
Wagons.
Just wagons. Just wagon after wagon. Just swiping and swiping and wagging and wagging.
Wagging.
Right? So, I mean, it wasn't a disagreement or anything in our household, but it didn't have to become a disagreement because it's something that he also recognized. And he fixed himself.
It's something that I recognized that I would see this, and it was like, oh man, like I would be like, oh, she looks amazing. You know what I'm saying? And then like it's not fair of me to like try to oppose her beauty standard onto my wife or onto anybody else. And then I remember like I was just strolling one day and I stopped. I said, yeah, I said, and I think I showed the 3 or 4 videos back to back, and it was probably 4 different accounts. I was like, this is this like it's like they've cloned themselves to this point. And so it got to the point. It actually got to the point to where it irritated me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I was like,
it's like different profiles, but you're technically seeing the same person over and over.
Right. And then it's like, not only that, it's like once I started to actually like listen to what they were saying, I was like, some of these girls are dumb as fuck.
Well, that's a little harsh.
Oh, they're dumb. They're dumb.
It's a little harsh.
No, they're dumb. And it's like I had, for lack of a better word, I had a moment of clarity. Right. And I was like, this is not good because it's altering how I see things. It's altering how I feel, and it's altering in some way or shape or form, like my sexual habits. Mm-hmm. So I was like, no, and I realized that no, this needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm. That was good. So that's why I say like it wasn't like a disagreement or anything. And honestly, it was something that I don't even think I was even aware of. You were just telling me about how you're like the algorithm is showing me nothing but wagons, and he's like scrolling, and his news feed on his Instagram was just wagons. Wagons are asses. Wagons, just wagons.
Wagons and balloons.
Wagons and balloons. And he, he took it upon himself because he started to recognize how that was negatively affecting him, which in turns was going to eventually have an effect on our relationship.
Yes.
So I think that's something that, you always have to be mindful of, because when you're in a relationship, even if you're going through something individually or something that affects you individually, I think it goes without saying that it affects your partner because you're doing life with somebody. So you don't get to just say like, this is just me, or this is a me thing. It can be a you thing, but you also have to consider somebody else and how that's going to impact their life and how that's going to impact you guys' relationship as a whole. I think another point is making your daily life less interesting, because that goes to you're scrolling all day, you're looking at all the things that people are doing, you're comparing to what you have.
Right, and you're saying, oh, my life.
And my life is boring. I don't do nothing. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't do nothing as a couple. He don't take me out. I never get.
We don't do nothing as a family.
We don't do nothing as a family. This person is constantly doing something. Look how he dotes on her. Look how he does this. Look how she does that. And then it can be this back and forth thing. So if you're having a situation where you're looking at, these soft life videos. I'll go back to that because that's a really big thing right now. You're looking at these soft life videos, right? And then he's on the other end and he's looking at videos where, there's women who are severely catering to their man. Y'all on opposite ends of the spectrum. And now he's subconsciously making little side comments. Well, I wish you would do this more because, I saw such and such video and she does this for her man. And I wish you would do this more because I saw such and such video and she gets to live this way. Like it sounds far-fetched.
No, it doesn't. It does.
It's really not, y'all. It's really not.
Because the thing is that it doesn't sound far-fetched because that's the reality of it. What you have to realize when dealing with social media, there is a rabbit hole for any stance that you have.
Oh, gosh.
And once you choose the first rabbit, the rest will appear out of the hole. And TikTok and your Twitter and your Instagram, your Facebook, it will pull you down that hole, and you will be bombarded with the videos of the same content being told by a different person constantly, to the point to where you can almost pretty much recite what they're going to say before they even finish saying it. And it's funny. It's like recently, Madden just came out, and now on my TikTok, every other or every third video is a video about Madden. I liked one video by about a guy saying Madden was trash. and I am now
And now it's gone.
now I am now bombarded with Madden videos, right? So it's like you have to be mindful of this. Is that these things are created to push towards you the things that you are interacting with. This is why I say you have to be mindful of what you're interacting with. You have to be mindful of what you're watching completely through, because you might say, well, I don't like anything. Well, granted, you might not like it, but if you sit there and watch 2 minutes and 45 seconds of a 3 minute video, they know that you watched 2 minutes and 45 seconds
Right.
of a 3 minute video.
And so they're going to show you
So
more
they're
of
going
that
to show
video.
you more videos like that. So it's like you have to really be mindful of your digital footprint and what you're doing, because that's going to affect your life, whether you realize it or not. It is infecting your life in some way, shape, or form.
And then I think for me, how does that impact not just your relationship? How does that impact your partner? How does that make your partner feel?
Because you're going down these rabbit holes, so now you're spending less time with your partner. You may not be picking up on your partner's love languages. You may start lacking in the things that you were doing before, because now you are diving into this alternate reality that is feeding you constant dopamine.
Yeah.
And things of incitement, and you literally, it's almost like it's one of those things where you have to almost get it out your system type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to, it's like when we discover like a new restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and we go there all the time until we get it out our system,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's kind of like that. It's like you have to deep dive. If you can't recognize what you're doing, you have to actually get into it deep enough until you pretty much get tired of it.
And what about,
unless your partner speaks up and says something.
Right. So I agree with all that too, but what about the insecurity that it can create within your partner, right?
Well,
so, and this goes for both men and women, right? So if you so happen to look over my shoulder and I'm scrolling and all you see,
I look nothing like Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush is not on my
Not what he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He was not.
Okay.
Okay, you talking about like men that look like him?
Okay.
Okay, whatever. But anywho, what I was saying was, how would it make you feel?
With hairlines.
Stop it. Stop it. If you looked over my shoulder and I was scrolling and you saw that there was a theme, mainly the theme being a bunch of different men and all in the same type of category of men. Let's just say they were all like 6'5", 250 plus and tatted with a hairline.
Why the hairline, huh? You had to really hurt.
With a hairline, would that not make you internalize some bit?
It's definitely going to make you internalize it, and I was aware of that because I realized that we had got to a point where when you had seen my newsfeed a couple of times, you internalized it because we had gotten to an argument or disagreement. This was a couple years ago.
I was like, because it wasn't about the wagons.
No, it was a couple years ago, and you're like, you said something along the line, well, like I don't look like none of these bitches in your phone, and I was like, you said that. Was it
on your phone or was it on your computer?
It was on my phone.
Okay, I thought it was
on my computer. I used to have Zoe Zodana. Oh my god. Anyway,
this guy.
But I realized, I was like, okay, this is having a negative impact on her because now she's seeing, oh well, if this is what he's seeing, this must be what he likes, and I look nothing like that, so he must not like me, like he says.
Right. Like it must be something where he's just like,
right. And even though,
because I'm just here.
Right. Even though I understand that how she was connecting the dots is crazy, and the line of thinking is crazy, I can understand how she could feel that way. So I had to take it upon myself because I took this as I need to make. It's part of me making my wife feel safe, right? And I think this is a kind of a controversial topic when it comes to a relationship and marriage, but. I personally feel that it's part of my job to let my wife know that her place as my wife is secure and that I'm not out here entertaining, that I'm not out here indulging or letting women think or perceive they have a shot to be in her place. So that's how I took that. I said, okay, this is something that she's sensitive about. Okay, I might not stop looking at wagons completely,
Right. Which I don't expect you to.
but I'm not going to.
Yeah. Like you have
But
eyes.
I'm going to decrease them.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and it's not, and it's like he doesn't do it in a disrespectful way. And also, I'm not necessarily like that type of woman where if my husband noticed someone who is attractive, I'm like down his throat about it, right? So, like I said earlier, when he was watching the wagons at pickup, just what was it, a few weeks ago, we were picking our daughter up from practice, and I had mentioned to you one of the moms. I had mentioned to you one of the moms, and I was like, I said, babe, like if you look at her from the waist down, you would have never thought she wasn't black. Like I was like, look at her thighs and butt, and he looked. So it's like, I mean, I guess you could say I wouldn't say we do it together. I'm just saying it was an observation. I have eyes, and I know my husband has eyes, and I'm not necessarily the jealous type. You know what I mean? Because, like he said, how he feels like it's his job to ensure that I feel secure within our marriage and my position as his wife. In my opinion, to speak to that, he must have done a pretty decent job that I'm comfortable enough to even have conversations like that with my husband or not jump down his throat because he notices another woman. He's not noticing the other woman like he notices me. She don't get the same type of attention he gives me when, even when I don't look my best. So I don't really have like an insecurity when it comes to that, like now, if I would say. But yeah, I just thought that was funny because it just made me think about that.
But also another thing is, if I'm with you, I'm not gonna linger. I'm not gonna linger and stare at.
That's another thing.
Another woman.
You can notice her and appreciate like she looks good.
Right.
But that's it.
Because I forgot where we were at. And some lady had passed, and I said, them titties are tittying.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that.
You just be blocking me out at this point.
But the way some people be out here dressed in the world, it's like, seriously, guys, come on.
But it's like I know that I can say things like that to you, like just like the wagon comment, like, and I know that you're not gonna like be self-conscious about it,
right?
Because like you said, I'm not out here actively pursuing or actively portraying that I'm available or even attempting to be like. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm married because the first thing I do is talk about my wife.
And it's just like giggle commentary between me and you.
Right. So it's like I do look at women, but like I said, like I normally don't stroll TikTok in front of her. I don't show social media in front of her. And if I am strolling in front of her, and then if a wagon video comes across, I just stroll past it. And I do try to keep it always respectable when I am in your presence.
Oh, that's nice of you.
I know you don't care.
That's nice of you. I think what also is important is if you do feel like, or if there is some questionable things on your social media, if your partner asks you a question about it, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you should have no problem like discussing that with your partner. You should have no problem like saying like, oh, I follow her because, she's really into like tennis or she's really into fitness or whatever. And she's at this level in the game or whatever. And this is why I follow her, or if you follow her simply because you like her content or because you're like, oh, she's beautiful. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that to your partner. Like, but I'm just saying being truthful and upfront with your partner is more important, right? So if I come across him scrolling and I see an account and I'm just like, why do you follow her? He has no problem telling me why he follows her. Right? Even if he tells me, oh, I follow her because like she's into fitness and she's bench pressing 315 right now. And I like to watch her technique. Okay, that's fine. Like I have no problems with that. That's cool. But it's being upfront about it. You know what I mean? Because I think we all know our intentions when we get into something. If you do not have good intentions, that's something that is going to show.
And I'm happy you say intentions. I just want to say this because I'm out here purely just watching. I'm not commenting on any girl's posts. I'm not sliding anybody's DMs. I only make comments on posts in which I'm commenting about what's being said, not about the person saying it. So it's like,
Oh, I see what you
you know
mean.
what I'm saying? Like, so like if I come across a video like recently with the whole UPS thing, right? I've commented on a lot of people's videos like, no, you're wrong, you're dumb,
Right.
shut up,
Right.
right? So it's like I don't. And even so, basically, when I do comment on videos, whether they're male or female videos, it's like it's not my comment is just to say my 2 cents because I felt impelled to do it at that moment and then go on. I'm not looking for a back and forth banter with anybody. And a lot of times I don't. Even when sometimes when people reply to a lot of times sometimes I reply, but most times I won't even reply. So like I try to, it's like you have to be mindful in like I said, you have to be mindful in your movements as well. So I'm very mindful in my movements on social media because it can you can lead people on to us because people will assume a certain thing without asking you a question. So that's why I try to be mindful in how I move.
Right. I also think it's important because I had a friend who I worked with years ago who found out that's how her husband was having an affair through
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
yes, through Facebook. Her husband was having an affair through Facebook. And so after her divorce and when she remarried, I remember her telling me that going forward, when she had got remarried, one of the things that she made clear to her new husband was sharing social media or sharing email addresses. Like that was for her, that was like, you either do this for me because this is what I need, or it just doesn't work. And
It's still weird to me when I see couples
who like share email addresses and stuff.
with just shared Facebook accounts.
I mean, I don't see it that often though. Do you see it often?
I've seen it here and there, but it's weird because my initial reaction was somebody cheated,
Oh, yeah.
and this is how.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing. I can understand making your partner feel comfortable. I don't think it really stops anything.
Right.
To me personally, I don't think it stops anything. If you have a partner who is going to have ill intention or cheat or do something they ain't got no business doing, they going to find a way to do it without you finding out anyway. It don't matter if you got a shared Facebook, if you got a shared email, if you got a shared anything. But I say that to say that was one of the things in which her partner, made her feel some level of security by agreeing to something like that, right? And also how we can see that social media can have that type of impact on a marriage where people feel like they can do things that their partner doesn't know about, whether it's entertaining conversations that they probably shouldn't be having, whether it's like sending messages that they know are inappropriate. You know what your intentions are, right? If you comment under somebody's video or somebody's post and you're like, oh, looking good or good form or things like that, yeah, you can say things like good form if it's like a workout video or something, but you also know what your intentions are. Like, I think we need to be really real about that. It's not just as simple as saying, oh yeah, good form. You know what your intentions are. Like, be real. What were you going to say?
I forgot. No, I was gonna say that it is when you say your vows, love, honor, and cherish, right? To me, the security is part of the cherish. So you should cherish her security and doing something. I can understand by having a joint Facebook account at the house you feel comfortable. Me personally, I just wouldn't have a Facebook.
Yeah,
That's just me personally, right? So, but like, if you told me today, hey, I have an issue with this, this, and this, or like I have an issue with you following this person, or an issue with you communicating with this person, it would stop immediately. Like it would stop without me even explaining to them why it stopped. Mm-hmm. It would just stop, And if you had a problem with me being on social media, I would just get off social media because for me personally, it's not that big of a deal for it to cause me headache in my actual life.
Right. That makes sense.
You know, so it's like I would rather have the peace and not fight over what could or could be happening just so I can see things. I would rather have the peace than have the social media.
But some people could also view that as a form of control.
Some people could too.
You can view that as a form of control.
But I know that if you came to me with these concerns, they would be legitimate concerns. That they're not
Right.
concerned. I know for a fact that you're not worried about what I'm doing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
especially because you know my movements probably better than I know my own movements. Like you know how I move, so I know that my activity online is not a concern for you, especially since I'm probably, you know, what I'm watching on TikTok because I'm sending you all the damn TikTok videos.
Facts.
So it's not like
Oh my gosh.
so-
the amount
so-
of videos.
so it's not like I'm hiding anything from you. So I don't think so. If you said that, I think it would be a legit concern you'd have, and then I would take it seriously.
Okay, that makes sense. With social media, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above, it's important to set boundaries. Set boundaries and set expectations, right? We are all on social media. We are all interacting with people who are perfect strangers. We don't know these people in real life. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But as far as your relationship, as far as your marriage, set boundaries, set expectations. A boundary for some people could be like, we don't follow, I don't know, for the sake of the argument, like porn stars. What would be the point in you following a porn star if not for the fact to look at half naked content?
Why would you follow a porn star? You could just go to the spicy site and watch the video.
Okay, yeah, but when you can't watch the spicy site at work, I mean, some people take a chance.
We all have fun. We all have phones.
Some people take a chance.
We all have phones.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, set boundaries in which you're comfortable with, because even though you may be comfortable with it, even though you may say it's not a big deal, your partner may very much think that it's a big deal, right? So, like, I guess a boundary for me would be DMing. There's no need for you to DM anybody. If you're gonna DM somebody, it's gonna be for what, like work. It's gonna be for asking a question about maybe a product or something that they're selling. Or I can't honestly think of any other reason why you would be DMing somebody.
Like I said, like the only thing I consider a DM is when I like respond to a story.
Yeah.
Because that's sent as a DM.
Yeah.
Even though I'm just responding to a
Right.
story. But then again, I only see stories of people I follow. And 9 out of 10 times, I only follow people I know.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Like outside of that, what would be the reason that you would be DMing somebody?
It has to be a business purpose. If it's not a business purpose, there's no reason.
Because even if you're just utilizing social media for entertainment, right? You can scroll, you can look at the stories, you can look at the reels. You don't have to comment on them. You can like them if you want, but you don't have to comment
But I
on them.
always feel like when if you have a comment or like something, I do feel like it's okay if you want to ask a person a question, ask it in the comment section.
I can agree with
That way, it's open and for everybody to see. It's not a personal thing,
Right.
Right.
Where you're having a side off conversation
It's
with
not
somebody.
a one-on-one conversation, right?
Right.
Now, because I can see how I personally don't feel this way, but I can see how this is how I internalize it, right? I see how you would deem me direct messaging someone as similar to having a text thread or having
Absolutely.
a phone conversation, right?
You should
So
just get the phone number.
Right. So you consider that you consider that as me having an intimate moment and an intimate conversation, regardless of topic, with another person. So I know that that's not something that you would be okay with. So that's why that's not something I won't do.
Right. But here's the thing, even if you needed to, I always say, this is what I always say. Don't do anything that you wouldn't be willing to tell your partner or discuss with your partner
you can have my
or
phone.
show your partner. I know. Like, I have the passcode to his phone. I know how to get in his phone. I know how to read his text messages. I don't do those things, but I know that I have access to his phone in that way, you know? Granted, there's other things I know that people can do to hide stuff. Like technology is real advanced these days. So you could feel like you have access, but if you don't know like the incognito stuff, then
Teach me your ways, Jedi.
if you don't know like the incognito stuff, then it really don't matter. But the point is I would just say, if you're doing something on social media, whatever it is you're doing on social media, if you don't mind showing it to your partner, letting your partner read your messages, or allowing your partner to come in and interact with you while you're on social media, then it's probably something you shouldn't be doing. If it's something you feel like, oh, this is my business, if it's something you feel like you don't need to read my DMs, if it's something that you very much know is going to cause a disagreement or some type of discord in your household, then chances are you doing some shit you have no business doing. You're entertaining something inappropriate that you have no business entertaining because you know it's going to cause a rift in your household, or you know it's going to make your partner feel some type of way. And that's not necessarily just a them problem. That's not just a them problem, because you're the one that is having ill intentions. Do you agree?
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory when it comes to that.
But I like you said, I think what's important is the intention behind the action.
Right. Right.
That's what's important.
Right. Everything is intention. The boundary part, I feel like is going to be more subjective, because everybody has a different level of what they're comfortable with. Some people, they don't mind. They don't care. It's like, I don't care what he's watching on social media. Not me personally, but I'm saying some people will be like, I don't care what he's watching on social media. I don't care what she's watching on social media. Like, that's fine. And you could feel like that's not having an impact on your partner, or it's not having an impact like on you. But for the most part, it's like you wouldn't sit there and let your kids scroll for 10 hours because you know that it's impacting them somehow.
You shouldn't scroll for 10 hours.
You shouldn't scroll for 10 hours. But what I'm saying is that you wouldn't let your kids scroll, like, into the abyss like that, because you know that it could have negative impacts on them. So why, again, wouldn't you think that you scrolling as much as you do, or you entertaining conversations that you know you shouldn't be, or you DMing people when you know you shouldn't be, wouldn't have a negative impact, not just on you, but on your relationship? Not just on your relationship, but on your partner. Not just on your partner, but their mental health. Like, it's almost like a trickle down effect, right? Mm-hmm. And then, if you have a partner who's a jealous partner, how does that work? If you have a partner who's an insecure partner, how does that work? Do you know what I mean? You don't understand that that's just causing more and more rift that's unnecessary, especially if you know your partner is jealous and insecure.
And I think as people, we need to also understand that, yes, self-esteem is something that it's developed by oneself.
Self-esteem,
but
yes.
Your self-esteem can be attacked by outside sources.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, too, when it comes to your marriage, I know for me, my marriage is also like a form of security for me, right? So even when I'm having like an insecure moment, I feel like my marriage, my husband, the way he treats me, all of that is almost like it's like a security blanket. Like, even though I'm having this moment, I can still have in the back of my mind and rest assured that, like, I am safe, I am wanted, I am desired. You know what I mean? I am still all of these things, even though I'm experiencing a moment of insecurity. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if I was experiencing a moment of insecurity, or if I experience multiple moments of insecurity, and then I have you over there and I see the things that you're looking at and the attention that you're giving it, mm-hmm. and then I look at myself and I'm already having a moment of insecurity, and I don't have you to come over and try to reassure me, right? But I see what you're scrolling at, and I see what you're doing, and I see how you're choosing to spend your time, even though we're in the same room together. It's like, well, you're not doing anything to help my insecurity either, right. And then if I see or know that you also are DMing other women, and you're trying to sell me the story that it's innocent because you haven't done anything, but you know that I deal with insecurity, and your position is basically like, that's something I need to deal with. Well, you're not really helping.
Well, that's why I say, like, I do agree. I do agree that when it comes to self-esteem, your self-esteem can be attacked from the outside. Because, I mean, we've had things where you've said things to me, and it you know, it brought me down a level, you know, and it's like, so I mean, it goes both ways. But I do agree with you with the whole with the boundaries. Like, boundaries are subjective, but I do feel as if you need to have these conversations, and I don't think a lot of people have these conversations. And I do feel that in a relationship, in a marriage, and when we have agreed to be there for one another, we need to adhere to those boundaries.
Agreed.
That's only fair, and regardless of how, I do believe, regardless of how one sided it may feel sometimes, you have to understand that it's for the betterment of the marriage. Because if I'm better for you, that gives you space to be better for me, which makes us better for together as a whole, right? Which then trickles down to our offspring, right? And I oftentimes I look through things, look at things through the lens of, I want to create an ideal example for our child, so that when she gets of age, she has good reference points of how healthy relationships should be.
And that doesn't mean that they're perfect,
Right.
like, at all. So, like, if this is something that is a struggle in your relationship, or this is like a hot topic of your relationship, I don't see anything wrong with having healthy conversation about how to get to a resolve. Not necessarily in front of kids, but like near kids, right? Because I think it's important for kids to see how you resolve issues too.
Yes.
You know, everyone's first inkling is to try to protect kids from everything. Like, we don't want to argue in front of them. We try not to argue in front, in front of kids and things like that. But also, kids need to know how to resolve. To have some type of resolution, right? When mommy and daddy are disagreeing about something, and especially if it's not necessarily an inappropriate conversation, but if it's just like a simple disagreement, they also need to see how mommy and daddy resolve things. They need to understand that disagreements are normal. They're natural. It's going to be a part of having that relationship. So even when they grow up and they can say, like, oh, my parents have, been together X amount of time, and I've watched them grow in their marriage, but I also see how my mom reacts and how my dad resolves when his temper is about to get out of control, or when my mom feels like, she's being disrespectful verbally, or how they resolved a problem. You know what I mean? Because I think all of that is important also for kids to see on some level.
Right. And so you need to be mindful that the things that you are indulging in this fantasy land that is social media, has its way of finding its way back into your actual reality. And then now these internet problems now become personal problems, because they're affecting the household in one way or another.
Because they're affecting you, and you're a part of the household.
Right.
And you are part of a team, so it's affecting you. So when you allow yourself to compare yourself to social media, or couples that you see, or people that you see, that's affecting you. That affects you. That affects how your thought process is. That affects how you interact with your partner. That affects how you see and view your partner.
Because it's very dangerous, because if you're going through a tough time in your actual partnership or in your marriage, right? And you may not, at that moment, you may not like your partner, right? The world is going to show you a billion alternatives, right? And so you're going to sit here and subconsciously compare what you're seeing to your reality. And sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, that is a dangerous game to play, because you're not comparing facts versus facts. You're comparing facts, which is what's actually happening, the actual person you have, versus what appears to be a desired result. So, and it can lead
that.
it can lead you down a path of
The grass is greener.
of the grass is greener, and glorifying a person or persons in which you know nothing about.
Right.
That you have no personal connection or personal knowledge of outside what has been posted online.
You see the what you perceive as 80% of what you're missing,
And that-
but it's really just like a 20, and you
Right.
see the 80 on social media.
And that's just not that's not just like single person. Like we said earlier, that also goes for, you see other marriages, you see other couples doing.
Oh yeah, like family channels.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt you, because now you're like we said earlier.
You
Now
do a comparison.
Now you're comparing, and when you compare, the more you like what you see here, the more you start to dislike and resent what you actually have in front of you. And I would contend that the best thing for you to do is to pour that energy, that time that you're spending watching what you wish you had. You need to spend that time developing that ecosystem inside your own marriage and relationship.
So the grass is not always greener on the other side, but greener where you water.
Sometimes the grass isn't green where you are because you didn't put no fertilizer down.
Okay, that's
You ain't did no soil treatment. Okay, you cutting it too low. You ain't watering at the right times of day. You letting the sun get it dry.
Are you describing the dry patch that's in our front yard?
What I'm saying is sometimes you need to tend to your own garden. Get the moles out of your garden.
Yeah, because you're too busy looking at somebody else's garden.
Right.
Yeah, I like.
Sometimes because when we went through our rough spot, I realized that when I look back now and I looked at how unhappy how unhappy I was, and how unhappy I thought I was, because it was most of the shit was in my head. Mm-hmm. How unhappy I thought I was, and then what I saw, I realize now that my unhappiness, the person who was mostly responsible for my unhappiness was myself, because at the core of everything, I was ungrateful for what I had and the opportunity, and I almost fumbled the opportunity that was given to me. And I think it takes a certain level of self-reflection to realize that, like you said, the grass is always going to appear greener, and that's because the grass over there is being tended to. So if you tend to your own grass, it can shine just as bright.
Or it's fake grass.
Right. It can shine just as bright, if not brighter, than the grass you're already looking at.
Well said, babe. Well said. I enjoyed that conversation with you.
Did you?
I did. That was really good. I mean, just my
Didn't no nipple having ass.
She said she ain't got no nipples.
Whoa.
I think the biggest thing that I would just say to take away from all of this is be mindful of your intentions and don't do anything that you wouldn't mind sharing with your partner. If you can just live by that, I think, you'll be okay, and you can scroll in peace. Scroll in peace.
While you're sitting sideways, hard in the days.
Okay. We finna go listen to Paul Wall
And while you drive slow.
and get some Starbucks and go pick up the little one.
And get you some grills.
Okay. All right, guys. This has been another episode of Life After I Do with a kind.
It's been true and real. Trill.
Okay.
Paul Wall, baby.
This has been another episode of Life After I Do with Nisha G and Mo Lethal, and we will see you guys next week.
Wood grain.
Peace.
Peace.